beginning 2024, when we vote nationally for the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, and for 43 senators in counties, while on the third Thursday in February, every 4 years, beginning 2026, we vote for 125 representatives of the people in constituencies. However, because the life of the current Parliament expires in 2025, initial election for representatives of the people is set for Thursday, February 15, 2024. They shall serve until regular elections in 2026. There is no limit, consecutive or otherwise, for which our citizens may be elected to any of these offices, but any 10% of eligible voters, respectively, may collectively sign a petition to the Supreme Court to impeach and remove any of them without having to wait for the next general elections. Members of the Jamaica diaspora who possess Jamaican citizenship may vote and stand as a candidate in any election, providing they fulfill the requirements of Articles 17 and 32. This proposal also abolishes death penalty and extradition and gives arrested citizens extensive protection. Rastafarians should be satisfied that repatriation is guaranteed, and everyone should be happy that freedom of speech and of the press is guaranteed, and our indigenous language, named therein as Papa Jenge, is acknowledged as our first language. The natural resources are protected as a sacred trust for our present and future generations, thereby ensuring we have secure access to our beaches, waterways, forests, and minerals. Our indigenous people, the Maroons, are guaranteed the land rights stated in the 1738 and other treaties the British made with them, 6 exclusive seats in the House of Representatives, and all rights stated in this proposal by virtue of them being Jamaicans. Admittedly, consensus is needed from our MPs and the Maroons. Both groups already have a copy, and citizens of Jamaica, over 1,000 of whom also have a copy. When this is done, we can justifiably request national consensus via a referendum. The fact is, in the referendum of September 19, 1961, our citizens voted for us to become an independent nation, but we fell short by accepting the 1962 document. We are now trying to get rid of it, but there is no need for a referendum. What we need is to activate the bloodless revolution by throwing out the 1962 problem and ratifying this proposal. There is separation of the powers that manage the affairs of the country. The executive is headed by the Prime Minister and supported by the Deputy Prime Minister. The Prime Minister appoints the other 9 ministers and Deputy Ministers of the Council of Ministers from among the entire citizenry of the country, excepting that the Prime Minister of Finance shall be a member of the House of Representatives. Their duty is to formulate policy to be made law. However, a majority of the members of Parliament may petition the Supreme Court to remove any or all of these appointees. The duties and responsibilities of all elected and appointed officials are also stated in this proposal. The legislation consists of 2 houses of Parliament, the Senate and the House of Representatives. They deliberate proposals of legislation to be made law without interference from the executive. The judiciary operates independently of the executive and the legislature. It is headed by the Chief Justice, who is appointed by the Prime Minister after nomination by the judges of both the Supreme Court, the highest in the country, and the Court of Appeal, the second highest, and vetting by the Parliament. These courts, along with the parish courts, the lowest, are exercised in the name of the citizens of Jamaica. The judiciary includes appointed notaries public. Jamaica helped to establish the Caribbean Court of Justice and has a judge there. It is entrenched in Article 67 as the court of last resort, but there is a provision for its replacement by a simple majority in a referendum on that question. It is not practical within our republic for us to appeal to the UK Privy Council. Our head of state is referred to as the Prime Minister because he oversees the Council of Ministers. Nevertheless, if we really want to Jamaicanize our constitution, we could probably call him our Don Dada. This proposal has been criticized for giving the Prime Minister too much power, but it is fitting and proper that this is so because he is the directly elected representative of the sovereign of the country, the citizens of Jamaica, who have the right to petition him. Among his powers are the right to reduce the sentence made by any of the courts. He is Commander-in-Chief of the Jamaica Security Force, that is a combination of the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Defense Force, the members of which are collectively referred to as soldiers, all of whom shall be trained in the laws of the Republic to the equivalent standards set for lawyers who are authorized to represent the rights of citizens in the courts of the country. Table 2 states more duties and responsibilities of the Prime Minister. The conditions under which proposals of legislation may be adopted into law are stated. For example, Article 54 guarantees salaries for representatives of the people and senators, but it also demands that any law increasing the salaries of members of Parliament shall be effective only from the date of the election of the next Parliament. In order to eliminate administrative overlap and waste, the present Ministry of Local Government is abolished, and municipal councils that are administered collectively by senators, representatives of the people, and notaries public are established. The Council of Ministers is to develop and propose laws that should maintain a prosperous, peaceful, educated, healthy, and just society equally for all. Advocate activating the new industry of renewable energy and developing state-owned farms and factories would reduce our electricity costs, generate jobs, earn revenue for the government, provide food security and community security via solar streetlights, and solve our garbage problem by enabling the implementation of practical recycling processes. Providing the highest attainable standard of health care is mandated, and giving citizens land impartially at an affordable cost, thus eradicating the demeaning label squatter, would improve their self-esteem, dignity, and integrity. Providing a comfortable, safe, and efficient public transportation system free for senior citizens and a secure and properly supervised school bus system would result in increased productivity. Fixing our education system by improving the academic capacity and remuneration of teachers and the quality of the curriculum to include teaching respect and the contents of this proposal, plus ensuring every child is present in school every day up to the secondary level, would ensure the survival of our republic. Table 1 shows that 10 ministries can do the job of the current 17-member cabinet. The foregoing is a sample of the efficiency of governance that this proposal can deliver. Our country desperately needs it if we are to survive as one people under our eternal Father. I remain committed to continuing to improve upon it, to promote it, and to advocate for its implementation because it can deliver good governance and help us to increase our self-esteem, dignity, and integrity, virtues needed by many of us. Indeed, it is, as Minister Malou Ford said upon receiving a hard copy from me on May 17, 2023, mission accomplished. On behalf of we the people of Jamaica, I thank the Constitutional Reform Committee for accommodating me. May our Eternal Father grant you the wisdom and courage to act positively on this proposal. Kibre Lake Xavier Yehun. Glory to God. To God be the glory.
Thank you so much, Miguel. And you presented in 15 minutes, also quite commendable. May I just ask, is Michael, the name that you have here, Michael Kojo, is that your legal name or just your assumed name?
Kojo. My name?
Yes.
Michael is my baptismal name in the Ethiopian Orthodox faith. Means the powerful archangel. And growing up, my father always told me that his grandfather told me that his grandfather was stolen from Africa and brought here to be a slave. It was not until May 1, 2021 that he told me that the man's name was CORJ. So that's my great-great-great-grandfather whose name I adopted legally by people.
Oh, so this name
So it's my legal CORJ and my legal name.
Legal name, okay. Just for clarity, saying to you that your mission was accomplished was specifically in relation to your delivering the documents to government. So just in case any clarity is required on that. Yes. All right. I open the discussion with you to members.
Thank you so much for a very succinct and effective presentation. My first question is geared at some clarity of the mechanism for adoption of the Constitution, whether they are structured by you or otherwise. Where on page 2 of your presentation, you indicate that it only needs to be ratified by our 63 MPs. And I just wanted some clarity because the whole basis of your proposal is the importance of the sovereignty of the people. And also the existing constitution has some mechanisms for change. Now, even if you want to ignore the latter, how do you resolve your desire for the will of the people to be important with the proposal that any new constitution that we would propose would need only be ratified by the 63 MPs? If you could clarify that for me, please.
Well, actually, this document is saying that we are not using the 1962 document anymore. To amend that constitution, which we have found to be flawed, by using its terms of reference, is using a flawed document to parrot a flawed document, and it doesn't make sense. So the best thing is to put it aside and bring something new to the table. Things that are in it, you would have realized, are in this also, and from other places. So it's not like we're just dumping the whole document, but we are putting aside the principle under which it was developed. That is why we could never go ahead with the UK Privy Funds. That institution enslaved us. And to be continually advocating to them or petitioning to them to free us, it's a futile attempt. So let us get something for ourselves.
I understand that perspective. That's what I'm saying. If you want to ignore that provision, what are the role of the people, the sovereign people, in having a voice, a direct voice as to whether the proposed constitution is what they want? Because whether you want to accept the provision in the old constitution or not, what it does is provide for the people to have a voice, in a direct voice, not a representative voice, in what constitution will govern them. Your proposal will not allow the people to have a direct indication of whether they approve the constitution. Could you clarify that bit, please?
Yes, I don't understand that. That's why the term revolution is used. The Americans did, the French did, many other people did. We can do it too. All we need to do is say to the English, so well, here, thank you very much, and leave us. We are setting our thing. Remember now, this is a proposal. It's a proposal. It's nothing hard and fast until it is ratified by in a referendum. That's a good thing to ratify this document. Referendum. Let us publish it in the newspaper. Let us everybody here on the legal lines look through something from a mentally emancipated point of view, saying we are developing something for ourselves now. And we put something together and publish it for the benefit of the people of Jamaica and let them debate it. And then we can go ahead with it. We go for a route. That's what we're talking about. And we don't need bloodshed. Bob Marley sing about fire, gun, and blood. Days go and say, if you want to live forever, love your brother. Both songs are called revolution. So let us revolute peacefully.
Thank you, Masudi. The document that you have presented as the revised constitution of Ethiopia. This translation, where may I just ask the source of it?
Yes, this document,
Yes, the one from
1955 revised constitution of Ethiopia.
revised constitution as proclaimed by His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I on the 24th. Taken
On November 4, 1955, it was promulgated. On the occasion of the 25th anniversary.
What is the status of this document in Ethiopia? And what is the source of this one? Where did you get this document from?
This document came into my possession in around 1991 when I was at that time 10 years a Rastafarian, just 31 years old at the time. And I was made aware that there's a constitutional reform program going on. Maybe from my great-great-grandfather, cousin's bloodline.
Let me just clarify.
I'm telling you how
The question that I'm asking.
What's it?
The question I'm asking is the source of it. You know, this is an age when documents can be put together all over the place. So I just want to know the authenticity of the document that we have here.
Yes, this is the foundation of the one that I proposed. The structure and the character of it, and also the structure of the chapters. That's how I came up with what we have here. Remember now, the emperor himself was a lawyer. He got the honorary doctor of law degree here, and also he had to write the United Nations Charter.
I'm not talking about your We the People proposed constitution. I'm talking about the document that you shared as the revised constitution of Ethiopia. That's the one I'm asking about.
I think the chairman is just trying to ask, where did you get this document from? And I'll tell you why after. Where did you get the document?
That's the process I'm honest. I got that document from a group of Rastafarians. After I had written a letter to retired Justice James Khan suggesting that the constitution be abolished and a new one be written based on the United Nations declarations, the Ethiopian Constitution, and the Holy Bible. He told me to get this document. I searched Jamaica and I got it and took it to him. And he made a copy and gave it back to me. And it should be there in the documents for the 1991 Constitutional Commission. From that time, the government of Jamaica has this.
Tell us if this constitution is still operating in Ethiopia. Can you tell us if this constitution is still operating in Ethiopia?
He says, can you tell? Is this the constitution of Ethiopia today? Is this their supreme law today? Do you know whether that is?
Yes, it is from Ethiopia.
That's a different answer. What we want to know if this is the current constitution of Ethiopia.
Oh, no. All of this went out when the emperor was deposed and executed. So there's a different situation. However, reading it, we see that it contains provisions that exist even now in the United Nations. The Charter of Rights that we have here in Jamaica, very many things in it are in those things, and it's still relevant today.
So, I'm just really curious. If the people of Ethiopia got rid of it, and the people of Ethiopia who are aspiring to emulate, to follow, then why should we take what they have thrown away? Being the original people of that nation.
Firstly, this Ethiopian constitution is a monarchist constitution. What we have proposed here is a republic. However, there are things in it that still are pertinent to our republic. So that's why I made the comparison and using my intelligence that Almighty God gave me to come up with this. And then I put it to very many people and I got their feedback. I'm looking for feedback also from this committee.
So, when you set out a problem, you link the problems to the deficient constitution, as you say. And I'm just wondering if it is that this constitution that you are modeling your proposal on was as good as it was. What is your thought on the people getting rid of it?
What is my thought on this document? It has benefits, some of which I have extracted.
Why would the people get rid of something that is so good? It's really what you're thinking around.
Like I said, had I not been honest, which I don't have to be honest, I could have written this document without telling anybody where I got information. And they would think that I did all of this work by myself. But that would be dishonest. So I credited the emperor. And I credited the United Nations. I've credited other people who decided they want to be credited, so I have to put them out of the accreditation by just saying, citizens of Jamaica, both at home and abroad. People on the bus, I engage and they give me ideas, I put it in. This is in 13 revisions. The first one was done, and then 13 revisions to now. And chances are it will be revised again and again. So that's just the basis of this document. Thank you, sir. I think the next colleagues, Dr. Barnett?
Could I go back to something?
It's on. I hear Dr. Barnett. Go ahead.
It's something you said about, but I didn't thought you asked you about it in another way. In order to effect the change in the way in which you have described, it means ignoring the existing law, which is contained in the present constitution. That is I'm not sure how you see that being practically implemented, because if you ignore the constitution, any group of persons or even one individual could take it to court and say that you are changing the constitution but not following the prescribed manner for change. How can you therefore ignore the prescribed manner? Are you going to say whatever I say in the law and not what the law says? I'm not following how you would effect that change.
There are some laws in Jamaica that are oppressive, designed to keep us in slavery. And because of them, this document is suggesting that we abolish all laws that are not in keeping with it. So it would mean the entire administration of government, the three sections, would have to go through this document, the laws of the country, to see which ones are acceptable and which are not. I mentioned one, our indigenous language. We are charged 40 shillings at that time, it's very long now, for speaking in indecent language. And neither Mr. Michael Martin nor his Minister of Justice or his Minister of National Security by letter could tell me which language it is that is indecent. But I know for a fact that African words that are used here in Jamaica by we people when we get real, that's what Englishman don't like. So he say it's 40 shillings you have to pay the courthouse. Now, entrenching our language here as our first language, except in international communication where then we use English. When you go into a Chinese store, in West Banana Place and other places, the Chinese don't greet you in English. What I say, what you want now? Oh, you come man, what happened to you? He doesn't know English to speak to us. If we speak to him in English, he's almost lost. But speak Patois, he knows it. So that is one example of how we can abolish our laws. Extradition again, it's mentioned here. Why are we sending one of our citizens overseas? Why am I sending my son to your yard to you to flog him because he did something over there around to my house? I will flog him myself. You bring me evidence and I deal with him here. And if it is that the international standard for, let us say, drug-related things, it's 5 years. Then he'll be locked up for 5 years here. And he's doing some constructive work. He's not going to be here easy. So the extradition being abolished is not just to have a free time and we keep criminals here. No, we don't want any criminals in our republic.
So, I think you used an example which will touch a chord about indecent language. Language matters in context, regardless of what language is used. And words can insult, they can demean, regardless of the language. They can be used improperly and properly in forms of communication. So while I appreciate the point about which words are penalized, I believe it's important for you to appreciate that even in our regular discourse with people, what we say and how we say it can either be constructive or destructive. So outside of choice of words being linked to a language, it's important to appreciate that in communicating with each other, what we say, when we say it, where we say it, how we say it, will always matter, regardless of language. If you make your presentation and we insult you, or we scoff at you, it would matter. If we commend you, if we listen through, if we dialogue through the differences, that matters too. So it's always important when we talk about language and what is regarded as improper to bear in mind the context. Whether we choose to keep what was given to us through the colonial system or we create it. Freedom of expression is something that has to be used responsibly because words can be failed. Words can result in people ending up in prison, losing their other rights, while one defended his right to speak. We do so defamatorily, falsely, causing harm to others.
And that is why it's so important for us to keep to education, to make it compulsory in secondary and least, and that children should be in school every day, so that we can teach them to relate to each other better and to the elements around them, so that we can have a more progressive and productive and peaceful society. Not just English, but there are also other languages that we should be learning here in Jamaica.
Until other members indicate, I think that I want to thank you for taking the time to show and to make your presentation. It's clear for me that you are committed to helping to bring change, important change. The summary document from which you made the presentation has some things that would require a display of understanding of the current system. So Dr. Barnett spoke to whether you would ignore the process for change and how would the laws that you took to create come into effect. Where we are today in terms of process is not the same place we were in 1962. Right. So even while you are calling for a bloodless revolution and you're calling for changes, the change is taking place in a context. And in a context where we have a written constitution, the constitution prescribes a process by which the change is to come about. Although it is a complex process, ultimately for certain matters, the changes have to be approved by the people. And that's what the referendum is. It's a vote of those who are registered to vote, voting to approve changes made in the parliament by the elected and appointed members. So at the end of the day, the process that we have that would result in a new form of government, a new head of state, that process is a process that gives the ultimate decision to the country.
Basically, as we say, this document is setting the framework, the policies to be implemented by the Council of Ministers will have to be within this framework. Right? So, as for healthcare, we're talking about investigating plans for medicinal purposes like these. How we go about it, and to what extent we go about it, that will be determined by policy. So these final points will have to be looked at by the lawmakers to make sure that it is, one, beneficial to the people they are representing, and two, it is within this framework. Remember now, there's also an article for amendments. This constitutional amendment. So we could always make adjustments even after it is.
What I really want to say to you is that there is a process by which the new constitution comes into effect. With various details, there are different perspectives on it, but at the end of the day, it is not in keeping with your belief that a mere ratification by all 63 members of parliament can bring a new constitution into effect. So I'm suggesting that you be corrected, and you appreciate that point. Right? And also, have you given thought to what would happen if you just abolish all laws all at once, without a transitional period? Have you given thought to the impact on society in respect of that? You've specified some time frame or your proposal in respect of fixed date election, beginning in 2024, which is just about half a year away.
Yes, I know.
And then the 2026, the time frame for bringing in a new constitution would be greater than this, especially at this time where we are in the life of the current parliament. Because
I understand.
whether we accept it or not, we're still a rules-based system.
Actually, that is a date that has been revised. I think about the first one was saying, that's the one 2021, was saying February 2022. And then we had to put it back to 23, and now it's gone back to 24, and more likely than not it will go back to 2025.
So,
Okay, so it's a date that can always be removed, changed, depending on when the document is actually ready for signing. But the important thing about those dates is that they are staggered 2 years apart. So every 2 years you'll be having an election. In one instance, it will be for Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, and Senators. And the next 2 years after that, it will be for representatives of the people. And then 2 years after that, it's for the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, and Senator.
right.
And the Senate.
I just have a few
So that's a moving
minutes
date.
before I invite us to come on. I could pause. I just made some comments on different parts of the presentation.
Thank you for your presentation, sir. What is your proposal for how and from where members of the executive should be selected or appointed? What is your proposal for that? You spoke about the executive.
In terms of elected and appointed,
Yeah. How do you do that? Okay, what's your thought?
the Prime Minister does all the appointments. Some are of his own free will, ministers of the Council of Ministers. He appoints them from anywhere without consultation from anyone. Okay? That now is a safeguard. Because as someone rightly said, and I made the adjustment, if, let us say, there are political parties in the House of Representatives who decide to veto everything that the Prime Minister does, then we never have a parliament, an executive. So he appoints whom he wants. But we still have where a majority of those members of the House of Representatives and Senate can petition the Supreme Court to remove that person if they are found faulty. There are other appointments that cannot be made without ratification by somebody. Is Chief Justice or the Parliament vetting or the Court of Appeal having a say. So those provisions are in it also. There's another one where the Prime Minister, on the advice of the Council of Ministers, propose laws or legislation to be made laws. The House of Representatives or the Senate, 10 members from each, can propose laws as well, or legislation as well. If, however, the Prime Minister doesn't feel comfortable after consultation with his Council of Ministers, they can veto that. But it can only be for 1 year. And by the end of the year, before that law to be taken back to Parliament, it must have the support of the majority of the members of the House that opposed it in the first instance. And then it will be allowed to be debated. So there are checks and balances there. The Prime Minister alone cannot call a state of emergency. It has to be on the advice and agreement of the rest of the Parliament. Okay? So this is just for people. This document has been very much in a different way, knowing where it's coming from and seeing what is involved in it. We don't have this.
So essentially then the Prime Minister can appoint all ministers and he is not restricted to the Parliament in selecting those ministers, but he can look anywhere for the appointments.
Yes.
Okay.
In terms of notaries public, the chief parish judge nominates, ratified by the Chief Justice, and appointed by the Prime Minister. Remember, the Prime Minister represents the people, so the buck stops with him.
Thank you. Members, any other comments? Eva? Yes, Dr. Smith. Could you take the mic, please?
I just wondered in terms of your proposal overall, if you are suggesting that and you would like to see the entire document adopted and put in place, or is it that you're making suggestions for different aspects of the Constitution? So is it that you're saying, I'm giving you my document, and this is the document that should be put in place, and it should cover all of the considerations that are now being deliberated, or are there specific suggestions you would like to see happen?
The aspirations for me is to make sure I do what I've been commanded to do by our eternal Father. Some people look at that and say, what is important? But every day, these children have been helping out at primary school since 2002 in Westman. And every day, these children see eternal Father bless all them. And before God and all mankind, we pleasure our heart and everything. Now, this document and the process is not about me. It is about something that has come to the table, and I would like for the Parliament to agree with the Parliament before this Constitutional Affairs Committee, Ministry was established. To come and sit with them and go through it article by article. That is what I'm still advocating here. That this committee realizes the importance of this document. Go through it article by article, agree to what is agreed. What is outside of your understanding, like how you're asking me now, we can get clarity from whichever source. But let us not think about reforming that 1962 problem of petty life. Okay? Let us forget about that one and think about this one, or something like unto this one. I know of no other document like unto this one in Jamaica right now. Okay? So this is the place to start. Forget about hiring and culture. No mind. I have to take bus. 5 bus men run on the next bus because I complain about overloading. Okay? But what are we talking about? You understand? So this is not about me. I have nothing to gain from this more than well done, good and faithful servant. And that is that I'm there.
All right. I want to know what consideration you gave to the use of the word dada, given how done is used in the Jamaican context. And usually not in a positive sense, but seen as an acceptance of a criminal overlord who uses resources and might to get what he wants, primarily male, in the context of Jamaica. I mean, when we speak of dons in Jamaica, we don't speak of them in a lawful context generally. And why I've done dada? I mean, because I'm not viewing humorously your proposals, whether I agree with them or disagree, whether they are accurate when measured against existing laws or sources. I'm just curious.
You're talking about specifically?
The recommendation you say, our head of state is referred to as the Prime Minister because he oversees the Council of Ministers. Nevertheless, if we really want to Jamaicanize our constitution, we could probably call him or Dada.
Well, like I said, the Prime Minister, he has powers to do that. But it is on behalf of the citizens.
Choice of the title is what I'm getting at.
Not understanding.
Why you choose Don Dada as opposed to any other father, emperor, whatever? Why Don Dada? Knowing that when we talk about dons in Jamaica, they're usually not identified with the positivity. Sorry?
So something is clear to me.
You're not understanding the question.
What article? You're quoting from the Constitution?
I'm quoting from page 5 of your presentation, when you say that we could call the Prime Minister Don Dada if we want to Jamaica House.
Like I said, the reason for that statement here is just to say, whatever name you call that flower, it is just as sweet that we give on Valentine's Day. Okay? So if you call it Don Dada, you call it Prime Minister, you call him a chief, or you call him a president, what are his purposes? What are his duties? I am written here saying that he's called Prime Minister because we have a council of ministers. So he is the head minister. Just like how you have a head teacher at the school, which they now call principal. Okay? But in old days it was the head teacher. So that's the reason for that. The Don Dada thing was, to me, just to say, all right, let us have a look for the humor. Come on over down in this place, so let us have a Don Dada as our head. That's just the whole reason for that. So I hope you're entertained by it.
Thank you, sir. A follow-up question to that. So, hearing from your proposal, you don't see the need to have a separation between the head of state and the head of government. Could you clarify, first, do you understand those who suggest a separation, what the reason is why they suggest a separation between head of state and head of government? And could you indicate why you prefer to see both roles collapsed into one individual, whatever that person is called? I take it that you're not so worried about the title, but clearly you just see the role, coalesced into one office. Could you clarify why you prefer one as opposed to separating the roles of head of state and head of government?
To have two people doing a job that can be done by one doesn't make sense. And then how do you employ the higher one? This proposal is saying, let the people employ that one, and let them employ a deputy to go along with him. Then 10% of us, which will be 200,000 now because of the vote of this, can petition to remove him if he is doing anything unsealed. So the people are still in charge. He knows that. At the same time, the House of Representatives choose a leader, or rather a speaker of the House of Representatives. That speaker is a potential deputy prime minister. In case the prime minister dies, the deputy prime minister moves up to be prime minister, and the speaker moves into the deputy prime minister's slot. Then we have a by-election for the constituency that the speaker represented. However, if the deputy prime minister who has been moved to prime minister because of the death of the prime minister, the deputy prime minister who was moved to prime minister dies, the speaker cannot move to prime minister. The prime minister is an elected office by the entire citizenry. The speaker moving to deputy prime minister is just until the end of the term. So having two people to do the job of one, and we're not clear how the higher one, which is if you say a president and a prime minister, we don't see that. What is happening now? Makes more sense. Because we have the absentee owner of the plantation, the king, and he has a representative down here, the Governor General, who oversees the plantation with the Prime Minister and all of these other people. We understand. Many people don't know that the Governor General can sign an order to override everything that's happening in our house, and the king can do the same. Many people don't know that. They think the Governor General is a puppet for the Prime Minister.
I certainly don't know that. I don't know that.
So that is why
Dr. Barnett, I'm not sure if your comment was from the
I said, I don't know that.
I was just seeking some clarity on something from the presentation.
I just want to bring to your attention that there is a assumption you need about the judiciary that you need to refer to the lawyers who receive help in these submissions. So, on page 5 of your presentation, you refer to the judiciary, and it is also illustrated in the diagram as having the Supreme Court as the highest court in the land. On the 8th is the Court of Appeal, the second highest in the overall. And you also put the parish courts there, and then also the local public. This start with local public. Local public are just officers who not necessarily the court, they're officers who sign documents, particularly documents that have been used under different laws. They do not exercise any judge, judicial function. They never come back. Secondly, before independence, we used to have one Supreme Court that consisted of the Court of Appeal and the High Court. Once it was decided to have two separate courts, the names of the highest court was changed from the Court of Appeal. The Supreme Court was broken into two so that you had a trial court, which used to be the High Court, which is now called the Supreme Court, but that body was the Court of Appeal. And that model has been followed in a couple of other countries, in the Bahamas. I won't make the use of that, so but that was just
explain. I can explain that. Why it is so.
The word Supreme.
Before you respond, could you allow the member to complete his question? Yes.
Okay, I thought you were going to start.
It's okay, I'm not. I'm just suggesting that we look at the terms of the use. Because in fact, the reason why they were separated was because before independence, there was a lot of objection, particularly from the legal profession. And the same people who sat on the trial court were the same people who were on the appeal court, and there was a lot of contention about it, and so they decided to separate them. And no can guide on that, and others were studying the problem. But it's just, I'm just thought that it will develop on the terms. The structure you have here for the judiciary is not an accurate reflection of the law case. And I would suggest that you go back to the ones we include Rob Robinson and the British King's Council, Anthony Gifford, and ask them to advise what we saw.
The reason why I put the hierarchical reports in that way. No, this is our thing. It's not based on European standards. The Court of Appeal is between the Supreme Court and the Privy Council. The very word supreme means the highest. So how could we have someone higher than the supreme? And then, if we have a decision made at the parish court, and they're going to appeal, it's proper for them to appeal, first of all, to the Court of Appeal. That's the logic behind this document. As I say again, I say already, it is a different way of thinking, totally outside of the European box.
So in other words, you want to rename what is now the Supreme Court as Court of Appeal and rename what is going to be for the Supreme Court.
To solve that problem, we change the names. So the judges, the justices who sit now on the appeal court would be now known as Supreme Court members, and vice versa. That's the solution, and I'm telling you, that solution came to me last night. I realized, going back through the document, I realized that that has to be done.
All right, just following on that, I had made a note in the margin. It's a combination of, I think, what you set out as your understanding of the current structure and what you are proposing. And there are inconsistencies. So you are quite right that a Supreme Court should properly be supreme in name and nature. And what we have as a Supreme Court now is really the High Court, because it has other levels of court above it. Locally, the Court of Appeal, and then externally, the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. So the point is made, however you have made it, that if we're using the term Supreme Court, it should be reserved for our highest court. Although I see that in your actual proposal, you don't seem to get that, if that is really what you're proposing, because you set out the proposal for the Caribbean Court of Justice to be the court of last resort, but then you're also saying that the where was it now? The Chief Justice, the Supreme Court, would be our local court. So there is some confusion. Currently, what the structure is that not all of our courts fall within the judicial branch of government. Currently, and it's an anomaly. So at the lowest level, you have the lay magistrate courts, presided over by justices of the peace as lay magistrates. And they deal with minor offenses. Two preside, that's at the foundation. But that court is not in the court structure, and it is not in the judicature. Above that, you have the parish courts. The parish courts also currently is not in the judicature branch of government, properly speaking, but it should be there. That was formerly the resident magistrates court. Above that, you have what is called the Supreme Court, which is properly the High Court with its many divisions. And then above the High Court, no term Supreme Court, you have the Court of Appeal. And above the Court of Appeal, you have external Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. On the side, we also have the Caribbean Court of Justice in its original jurisdiction, which deals with Caribbean community matters. So that is our structure current. All right? It's important that you take time to understand what is in the current system, whether you agree or disagree with it. If you are in the business of making proposals, as you are, accuracy will matter. It's important that you accurately state what is, even if you disagree with the underlying structure, even if you are proposing that it be disbanded, dismantled. It's important for you to take the time alongside those who are advising you to get it correct. Because if it is not correct, when you come into a forum like this, or in other forums, people may just disregard it. All right, just a suggestion. You want to respond?
Yes. That deficiency I realized last night as well, in terms of by eliminating the lay magistrates court, Petty Sessions Court is called, and the document Petty Sessions Court. By eliminating that, more burden will be put on the parish courts. So I realized that it would be wise still to include that section where notaries public, which would be equivalent to justices of the peace, would sit there to deal with that.
No, they are not equivalent in the current legal system. They perform some similar duties, but they are not
Similar, right.
equivalent. But the real
That's
point
the
I
thanks
want
for
to
it.
make, the real point I want to make is that as a citizen exhibiting high level of consciousness, accuracy matters. You don't have to be a trained lawyer to get it accurately, because I see that you have taken time to get guidance from trained lawyers. And lawyers, in the document you gave me, I noticed that you listed, and here you were assisted by eminent attorneys. So when those names are put alongside you, it is quite reasonable for us to expect a greater attention to detail and accuracy. So when you are stating what is, it's very important that it is accurately stated. And then you can indicate what you disagree with and give your reasons for disagreement. Just a suggestion. Because I see also that you are vying to be a legislator.
As I said, this is a proposal. And
It matters not, whether it is a proposal, but
Yeah.
accuracy will matter in our sphere. But I understand. All right, my last comment, because I have read and let me tell you what I'm taking away from your presentation. I like your proposal for solar streetlights. I like your proposal. I think we can go a far way if a proper consideration is given. We do have solar lights. There's a high cost of energy. But I notice you've also proposed an abolition of the Ministry of Local Government. You may or may not know that that question is an important question in light of the amendments that were done to the Constitution in 2015 around local government. And so it is a live question whether a system of local government should be headed at the central government level. I know you are asking for a defined number of ministries and ministers, and that issue has arisen in another context about the size of the executive in relation to the legislature. I see you're also asking for an indigenous language to be put in the Constitution. You refer to the Maroons as indigenous people. That matter is a contested matter in terms of how indigenous people are defined. But the Maroons do have a special place in the Jamaican society. But the use of the term indigenous people has a special meaning, not only in domestic national law, but in international law. The treaty that you refer to in 1738, there are some disputed issues around that in the international system as to what amounts to a treaty, and also the fact that on the attainment of political independence, Jamaica became a unitary state and we don't have a state within the state. We may also want to look at the role of the Prime Minister in respect of the Jamaica Defence Force and under the Defence Act.
In respect of the Maroons, this document proposes to abolish all the treaties that the English made with the Maroons. And it gives them all the rights therein by virtue of them also being Jamaicans. The matter of land it is important for them to maintain their ancestral homelands. The 1962 Constitution stated that all laws that were in effect before the 1962 Constitution continues in effect unless they were amended or repealed. I don't know of the 1738 land rights we're talking about now, for the Maroons was ever repealed, or abolished. So it maintains. We have seen people in Jamaica who have.
So let me tell you that the laws dealing with the lands for the Maroon, those laws were changed over time. And you can actually find them in the legal archives. And I will ask perhaps LRD, the Legal Reform Department, to bring up the documents and make them publicly available. I believe that there is a lot of inaccuracies around the land rights in law. Some of the steps are incomplete steps, but the last system actually legally was one where plots were given to individual families, and that's really what individuals and defined acreage. That is what is in the law. So over time, the legal provisions changed. Some were repealed, other laws enacted, but the existing one now has to do with allocation to individuals.
I speak to it most quickly. At the end of emancipation, after the emancipation period, the local legislature passed a law that gave each person, not each person, the right to claim the government that there's 2 acres of land. So it abolished any earlier use to use land, that they had the right of use. We didn't have land, the right to use the land, and instead of that, they granted to them actual ownership per person for land. A right not granted to any other member of the African community in Jamaica. So they had a special privileged position of getting a right to claim individual ownership for a person, including children.
So, based upon what I'm hearing now from you, sir, is that each individual Maroon was given 2 acres of land.
No, they were given the right to claim, right? Some of them didn't exercise that right.
They have that right to acquire
at that
time.
Yeah.
At that time.
Let me be clear. I'm not here as a representative of the Maroons. I am here as a citizen of Jamaica who wants to see our country move as one people, knowing that the Maroons are descendants of people who were here before Christopher Columbus, some of them from Africa, some from Central and South America. And they have had to struggle, and they were able to get this document to say we have lands in certain places. So it is only fair that it is maintained.
So
that point, the entire Article 12 of this document deals with the Maroons. And they are the ones who need to be at the table to deal with that, not me. I have done what I can do, which is to present their case here. Thank you very much.
I want you to remember the bigger point that I'm making, though, that in putting forward your proposals, it's important to be accurate in what you state, even while you are moving away from it. Because if you state the existing, if you are inaccurate in stating the status quo, it will raise questions about the basis on which you are making proposals. That's a point that is important for you to understand. Accuracy matters, and there are a lot of inaccuracies, and some of what you say either disregards the law, is ignorant of the law, or just outright inaccurate. All right?
And for that reason, we notice that the May 1 document, copy, the 11th revision that you have, is different in this respect of the declaration, where this now 13th revision doesn't mention the Maroons having anything to do with this document in the declaration. But the 11th revision that you have, dated May 1, that I gave you on May 17, mentioned the Maroons having a say in the declaration. Because, as I said, I am not speaking on their behalf, but for them, for everybody. That's
my
what
point
I'm
is not
speaking.
limited to the
So I
Maroons.
know what is what. And it's again a proposal that we all need to agree to, whosoever has the authority. And we are saying a republic, and that means the people.
Just so that you do not misunderstand, the point raised in respect of the Maroon had to do with a misstatement of the law around the entitlement to land, and also in respect of the treaty. And I'm saying to you that we don't have a state within a state in Jamaica, we have a unitary state. But the broader point that I hope you will take away is to just pay attention to the details and to ensure that the statements are accurate. Because accurately writing something doesn't mean that you accept it, especially when you're coming with a proposal to move away from what currently exists. But just go forward if you are minded to take the suggestion.
To the extent of what is really needed, then it will be passed. Because as I said, it is a proposal. So the relevant people will come into it and look into what is there. I've asked the Maroons. I've been to a compound twice. I've been to Moortown twice. I've been to Charlestown twice, well, once really. And I've been advocating, speaking with them, telling them, you all need to sit together to decide and agree upon what is this. I've given them hard copies. I've given them soft copies, of including this that I hold now in my hand. Okay? So it's, sorry.
You're focusing on the court, but remember we spoke about the structure of the court before, we spoke about the process of reforming the constitution before, we spoke about other matters. So the focus is not on the Maroon, on the point of accuracy. It was just one example. But you're clear in your point about having the Maroon speak for themselves. But others have joined the room without having the benefit of the previous conversation and the discussion on other parts of the presentation. So I do not wish the impression to be formed that the point about accuracy is limited to the example raised in respect of the Maroon. Let me, on behalf of the committee, thank you so much for taking the time to make the presentation.
That point, on the same point, very many civil societies, ministries of government, the police, the military, have sent it to their email, to their WhatsApp. Over 70 law firms and lawyers, you have heard me say this before, have a copy. So it's not something that I put on that table. I've lit that light and I put it on the shelf. People in Seattle, in New Jersey, in Atlanta, call me, send the document. I send it. They say, okay, we are looking into it. Good work. One Rastafarian group, when he got it, he said, you are the answer to our prayers. So you yourself said mission accomplished. You know, you are very there. Okay, so what I'm saying is, madam,
delivering your document to government. Don't miss, no, context matters, accuracy matters. But I'm very pleased that finally you've had your moment. And,
Could you allow me 1 minute?
Yes.
To say, finally, I would like to say, there are others here who would like to say something. I am truly humbled that the Almighty could have prepared me from infancy for this task. And whatever happens, I am satisfied that I have done my part, which I have said here is not yet done. I'm thinking to be in Santa Cruz next week, Wednesday. And wherever you go, you tell the people, this is it, get a copy. And I'm holding you fast here now. This is the reason you were established, to look into this document. That's my conviction. Thank you very much. And if there is anything further, you have my contacts, and I'm available.
Well, Mikhail, as I said to you, you would have been given your opportunity, and we have kept to our word. You have turned up at all the forum. You were allowed to participate freely, and thank you for taking the time. You are free to stay on if you want to hear the presentation that will be made by the other group. All right, thank you. I'm looking on the time, and we have invited in the other presenters, but we may just take a short break for coffee, and you're welcome to join us in the refreshment. Let it not be a long break, please, because we want to hear the other presentations. Short break.
Prof.